and welcome to this episode of Decoding Data Analytics. This show is all about analytics from the perspective of global data experts who are CTOs, authors, analytic leaders, hiring managers, and top data professionals. And I'll be your host for the show, Jahanvee Narang.
Hi, Emil, and welcome to Decoding Data Analytics podcast. We would love to know your journey and your career into Alteryx from your own words.
Thank you very much for having me here. So, my career with Alteryx started several years ago. I was working in the reporting team in UBS, and I was maintaining a lot of manual reports. That wasn't very fun. And unfortunately, I had the feeling that on daily basis, I am doing the same things all over again. And when I saw Alteryx, I saw an opportunity for myself to automate my work. Because I wasn't good with coding, but back then I didn't knew VBA or Python, and with the Alteryx, without any programming knowledge, I could actually automate my work from without like having a good programming knowledge. So that started several years ago, and I think that is a beautiful journey that started in UBS.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, before we get started into deep dive into Alteryx, would love to know for the audience who is not aware what that platform is and who is not familiar with anything about Alteryx, if you can give like a brief introduction about what it is, how exactly it works, and how it works in the space of analytics, just on a level.
So just to start with it, I think this is an ETL tool. So this is a tool that allows us to transport the data, and it's not a programming language, so it's much easier to do because we are basically working with building blocks that are doing certain things, and we can configure them. So it is much easier to actually start with. People aren't so scared because they don't see only code, and it's like much more appealing, in my opinion. And it's a very flexible tool because with the Alteryx, we can compare it to the Swiss knife that is very flexible, that you can use to solve a lot of data problems.
Wow, that's amazing. So is it a tool which is going to replace the work of data engineering? Because as far as I know, ETL process is a lot used for data engineering. So is it something similar to that?
Yes and no, because
Okay.
when we are thinking about data engineering, we are thinking about people that have a lot of knowledge about SQL, that know a lot about the data. But
Yeah.
with the Alteryx, I think a lot of people that are actually using Excel as on daily basis, they
Okay.
are people that are really passionate about the tool because they see an opportunity for them to actually take their work on another level. Because if
Yeah.
you need to learn VBA, you need to spend a lot of time. And yes,
No,
I'm
that's
thinking,
amazing.
yeah.
As a part of a data analyst, the major time-consuming task is data preparation. So, do you think Electris has any, advantage or capability through which they simplify or expedite the process of data preparation?
Yes, definitely. And I will give you one example. Mm, Quite often I received a lot of ad hoc requests in the past. And let's imagine that I needed to extract like 60 megabytes of data from one system, and later I was preparing it in Excel. And the requester asked me to provide him data only for one region, that was EMEA region. And the first step that I done, I removed everything else. And then I prepared the data. I spent like 2 hours to do that. And I sent him a report. And 2 days later, he says that he's very happy about the data. That was very helpful. But now he would like to do the same thing, but for all of the regions. So
Oh,
basically, I needed to do exactly the same tasks, but
yeah.
first of all, I couldn't remove plenty of data. And because of that, I needed to I needed to do exactly the same thing 2 days
Yeah.
later. And in Alteryx, I would just remove one tool that was a filter tool that limited amount of data, and I would run the process once more. And
Yeah.
this is like a game changer for ad hoc analysis like that, because very often when I prepared, like, let's say, one senior director approached me in one quarter and he wanted some kind of analysis. I prepared him for that. And on another quarter, he wants to receive the same analysis, but with the newer data. As a
Mm.
step one, quite often I would prepare the data for the previous quarter just to make sure that I am following the same logic.
Yeah.
And And quite often the data in the database changed, and it took me a while to actually figure out if my logic is okay or not.
Mm-hmm.
And with the Alteryx, I'm just loading the new data, I am pressing run button, and it's ready. Like, if the
Wow.
data prep is time consuming for you, Alteryx can save you a lot of time.
Wow, that's quite a game changer because I remember, ad hoc requests can be sometimes time consuming as well. And you have to do the same thing over and over again. And even running the same code by making changes can be a bit of a task because you have to go through everything again. But I guess this tool looks really, really amazing. So can you share some real world example or case study where Electrics played a really pivotal role in, aiding data analytics or data science to achieve their goals?
So, for example, the first big project which I completed was to use Alteryx to prepare a process which is called cost model.
Yeah.
We took into consideration a lot of data from different data sources to actually evaluate if our customers brings us proper margin. Like, if the customer, for example, is taking a lot of time for the client because he's making a lot of phone calls, or he's complaining a lot, or he has plenty of ad hoc requests. And this client is much more time consuming and actually would should pay for their services more than the customer that is really easygoing, let's say, that don't complain, that don't have ad hoc requests, that he's happy with the service he receives. So I remember I spent a lot of time to actually prepare a data from different data sources to actually prepare a report. Um, I was part of the reporting team for several years, and Alteryx is really good in taking the data from different data sources, blend them together, make some data cleansing, data transformation things, and then um, one of the ways is to send the reports to, for example, dashboard or Power BI, or to load the data to some kind of databases. I think combination of Power BI and Tableau is very common
Yeah.
in the Alteryx field. Like, people are using the Alteryx to prepare the data and then load it to some kind of dashboard. And I think it's also very common in finance, in tax departments, because there are a lot of manual process there that you can automate with the Alteryx.
Wow, that's really amazing. So, for analysts who want to enhance their electric skill, what training or educational resources would you recommend? I can see you are wearing data pal shirt, so I know where it's going to be get started. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually there are plenty of available materials on the internet, especially for the new joiners in the Alteryx field. There is official Alteryx community, which is a place where you can find a free training. There are really good quality learning paths available there. There are some video materials. Also, there are some additional, let's say, exercises, which are called
Oh,
weekly. weekly challenges. And if someone is really dedicated and have free time and would like to pursue a career in that field, there are a lot of resources which are available. Additionally, certifications are free of charge, at least majority of them, because
Oh,
the one which are more, let's say, complex, you unfortunately need to pay for them. And
okay.
lastly, if someone is actually interested in the Alteryx and would like to get a free license for learning, it is possible for people that would like to change career. They need to just go to Spark Education website and request a license there. I think it's pretty easy process, and I think a lot of people started their Alteryx career that way.
Oh, that's really amazing. So for certifications, how many levels are there to be electric certified?
I would need to double check, but I think there are four. There is
Okay.
one which is called micro certification. Then there is a core certification. And I think this one is really important because to obtain that certification, you need to learn about the most frequently used tools, which are the ones for loading the data, preparing the data, cleaning the data. So really important things that every data analyst needs to know how to do. And the next one is called advanced certification, and the last one is the expert exam. But if someone passed the core certification, I think he or she should be fluent enough to actually use the Alteryx on daily basis.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So do you think a certification is something which can add a lot of value to your resume, especially the electrics one, or you should just have a basic experience and that should be good to go?
So if I am talking with people and we are like thinking about new consultants for new projects, I think very often we are asking about certifications.
Okay.
Because for me, I know that during the process of obtaining the certification, I learned a lot myself. So
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to pass at least the core level exam. The advanced one covers a lot of topics which might not be relevant for many data analysts, like spatial analysis, for example, or a little bit more complex processes like macros. But basically, I would strongly recommend if someone is really interested in pursuing a career in the Alteryx field, I would recommend spending time on getting those certifications because a lot of people which are passionate Alteryx users actually care about them and think they are valuable and they are free of charge. So I
Yeah.
think it's a really
Yeah.
good idea to obtain them.
I mean, definitely, if it's free, why not? And you will be learning a lot and you will be adding a lot of, value in your resume as well. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, and one more thing, during the process of passing the certifications are open book exams. So during the
Oh,
process, you can search for in the internet for the answers and you will learn that way because that's what we are actually doing as data analysts. We don't know the answer. We are searching for the answer in the internet, and that's how people solve problems nowadays.
yeah. Everything is available on Google. You just know how to Google it well. So if you can Google it well, you can be a good tech person in this industry, in this
Yeah, and
stage. I mean, if you
yeah,
know how to write a correct prompt on ChatGPT, you are good to go.
Yeah, and I think this is really important skill. Like if
Yeah.
someone would say to me that I am really good, I don't search for answers on the internet, I wouldn't think that he's a really good analyst because he or she wouldn't learn as fast as person that is actually curious about better ways of solving problems.
Yeah, definitely. There's always something better coming up. And if you're not upskilling yourself by, just Googling and thinking that you are good, then I guess you are lagging behind because it's better to understand that there can be a better person than you, there can be a better coder than you. and there's no harm in looking around and getting help.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So, since you mentioned that it's for the automation part, so is Electrix is a platform which is mainly used by startup companies or companies who are independent, or is it also being consumed for Fortune 50 companies as well?
So I think because Alteryx is quite expensive, the smaller companies usually don't use it. It
Oh,
is, I think, majority of our clients are big companies which
hmm.
have at least 500 people on board. Uh, but
Wow.
yeah, so if if you are thinking about a career in the like banking industry, for example, in bigger companies, Alteryx is very commonly used there.
Wow. That's
Or
amazing.
like in PwC, like in the consulting companies as well, I think this is also very common tool because like the most important thing is that even if someone isn't around, like if you have Alteryx, you build processes and you have also Alteryx server, this is like a part of the platform that allows us to um, schedule our processes. We still bring value when we are not around. Like, for example, if I build a process that is running on daily basis, even if I'm on holidays, I'm still
Mhm.
bringing value to the company. So bigger the company, bigger amount of people that actually know how to use the tools. It's scaled also really well because when we are thinking about, let's say, a company like UBS, if they are buying another company or they are merging now with Credit Suisse, the amount of data that they need to process increase drastically. So, and with the Alteryx, if you build a process in a proper way, it's really easy to scale. So they need to just add more data from the new clients and the process should still work. And yeah, bigger the company, I think more value it can bring to them.
That's really amazing. So moving on to the next question, I guess Electrix must offer a lot of advanced analytics capabilities as well. So would love to understand from your standpoint that what are some techniques that can be easily implemented using Electrix?
So Alteryx is quite often used in the first, let's say, attempts for the organization to use data science.
Mm-hmm.
And I am talking about Alteryx Designer because there are several different tools in the Alteryx platform. Uh, Alteryx Designer have some advanced capabilities for the, let's say, in the area of data science. You can use linear regression, for example, and you don't need to be very proficient in the field of programming because
Mm-hmm.
this is like a really important part of the data science to scientists toolkit. And also you don't need to know a lot about the statistics, but I think if you are thinking about a career as a data scientist, I think Alteryx also can be a really interesting option for you because it's not so overwhelming and it's easier to understand um, certain processes or certain tools if you don't need to tailor it a lot. If you don't have a lot of capabilities of opportunities to actually change it, like in some programming languages, it might be much easier to actually start with. So if you are thinking about building your first like data science portfolio, I think Alteryx can be really interesting for you.
No, that's really amazing. And just like Tableau has their own public community through which you can, post your project. So, just wanted to understand, does Electrix have that where you can, upload your project and to the public community or view other people's project because that also brings a lot of learning.
Yeah, so I think usually people are putting their projects on GitHub.
Okay.
On the Alteryx community, it's very common to post workflows about weekly challenges. So this is like
Okay.
once per week, Alteryx is posting a challenge and people are posting their answers. This is like a great opportunity to actually learn from others.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think GitHub is the most, let's say, common thing to do. I have like GitHub portfolio, but majority of the things that people are doing with the Alteryx, it
Mhm.
isn't as flashy as, for example, Tableau dashboard. It's not something that you can
Yeah.
easily share also because quite often you don't have also the data that you are using on your when you are working for the company. So I
True.
think it's not very common to have a portfolio in the Alteryx field, but if someone would think about having one or maybe deciding if I should have a portfolio or I should get a certification, I would grab the certification.
Okay. So, what are the typical job roles one can acquire after, gaining proficiency in this platform?
So I think data engineer, I think a data analyst, those are like two most common examples. I think also someone like a citizen data scientist, because uh,
Mhm.
usually, like in the Alteryx, you also can use Python or R. So if you would like to do that, if you know how to do that, you can build models also there. But usually, I think data science are preferring to use like a clean Python and they don't
Mhm.
use the Alteryx. But for someone that is actually starting, it's a really great way to make first steps and it's much easier. Uh, so I think those three roles are most common.
So
And maybe
that's
I will add that also some people which aren't focused on the technology only. Like maybe
Mhm.
you are working in the banking sector and you are a person that is responsible for making analysis for the clients. In this case, I think Alteryx is also very common. So maybe you don't want to spend all your day with data, but it's like your 50% of your job. It's also very common to use Alteryx.
So it's basically used for people who are already a data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, and also for people who are trying to transition into the field of analytics. This can be like a powerful tool for them as well, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Amazing. Since we are talking about this, just wanted to understand is freelancing and consulting is something because you mentioned this tool is expensive. So is this tool also readily available to freelancing and consulting people as well, or do they prefer some other tools as of now because it's expensive?
Yeah, I think it's not very common to use Alteryx as an independent consultant because
Okay.
uh, first of all, companies which are bigger use Alteryx, and quite often they don't work with the independent consultants. At least that's my experience.
Yeah.
So probably that's not the best tools for the independent contractors, but at the same time, it can be really rewarding to actually, if you will find clients or two, you can get really well paid for your work.
That's amazing. Let's about talk about job market trends because we are living in a stage where the job conditions are not really well, right? It's very competitive. So, what do you think are some emerging trends in job market for electrics professionals? Uh, does it help companies to hire them, even faster with these certifications? Or yeah, just love to know about that.
Yeah, so if you want to find a job nowadays, in my opinion, you need to have a proper LinkedIn profile. If you are interested in pursuing career in the Alteryx, if you will post about it once or twice per week, you will be way better position than someone that doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Um, so in my opinion, I totally agree. The job market is very competitive. It's really tough sometimes to find like a good place to work. But if someone uh, do something more and show themselves that, I am posting on the internet about it, someone will definitely find you, because there are not a lot of people that actually spend time to share their knowledge and teach others.
Yeah.
So even if you are interested in the Alteryx or Power BI or SQL or Python, just learn, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 hours per week, spend half an hour or 1 hour to write a post about it, and do that on weekly basis, and you will definitely change career sooner than later.
Oh, that's an amazing trick, because even I was able to get job better when I started posting. So it does provide a lot of visibility to your profile, not just for electrics, but in general as well, wherever, whichever domain you are from. And it also opens a lot of doors for networking, for some great people, like how I connected to you and we were invited on the podcast. So, I mean, that opens a lot of doors, because I guess I posted about nine and
Yes.
on one post, and then you said that, okay, try electric, it's even better. And then I was going through your profile and I realized that, oh, he shares some amazing information about electrics, and this would be a great person to talk about and get in much more detail.
Thank you for having me, and that's totally true. I just commented on your post, and we are here. So
Yeah.
having a presence on social media nowadays, it can be really beneficial, in my opinion.
Yeah. Moving on to almost towards the end of the podcast, would love to know what are your insights into industries or sectors. You said that it's being used by big companies, and you mentioned few like consulting, PwC. But if there is any, particular industry which is, really, really into electrics.
Okay, so I think nowadays the most interesting topic for people is like OpenAI, is
Mhm.
ChatGTP. Those are
Yeah.
things which are really useful, as in my opinion, in majority of the careers which are open now. Uh,
Mhm.
if someone is interested in the field of the data itself, I don't think the demand will go lower in the near future. I think in data there is a lot of value. A lot of organization needs to use the data to make a proper business decisions. So it's a challenging time to start, because it's
Yeah.
easier, maybe, like it's harder to be a junior, because when you have a chat GTP and you can ask a chat GPT to make some analysis for you, why to
Mhm.
hire a person if I can ask chat GTP about it? Like this can
Yeah.
be a real question which business needs to answer themselves if they need another person or not. But
Mhm.
I'm quite sure that still this will be a career which is very interesting, very rewarding, and definitely like each 2 year you can increase the amount of money which you earn, which in my opinion is amazing. And our parents might not have this opportunity during their
Mhm.
lifetime.
Yeah.
So and if you are interested in the Alteryx, I think it's a really great tool to actually achieve more than a person would achieve using Excel. And this can open a lot of doors, because, like I have mentioned, Alteryx is very flexible. So if your organization would have a problem with the reporting, would have a problem with moving the data from one database to another, or they would need to, I don't know, prepare the data for Tableau dashboard, you could, or maybe you can also like use API and extract the data from the internet or from certain website. There are so many things which you can do with it that um, usually when you start using Alteryx, you don't need to use another tool, unless you need to prepare a visualization tool like dashboard, because Alteryx isn't a tool for that.
And how are results? Like, is it similar to when you are going to do coding, and if you perform any, machine learning algorithm, are the results going to be same with Electrix algorithm, or is there, some error rate between these two?
So if we are thinking about data science, you always need to think about the data quality and about what tools you are using. Um, Definitely with like Python and R, you will have more opportunities to actually tailor your solution because like code is just more flexible. With the Alteryx, you will have some limited options, but thanks to that, it isn't overwhelming at the same time. Um, Also, you can like mitigate some of the problems with it. For example, to make a business decision, you might use the average result from three different models, which are different models. And even if one of them would have incorrect results, hopefully the two of them would be correct. And thanks to that, you can get a proper answer. Um, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love to, request my audience to follow Emil Kos if you are a little bit interested about electives, because he shared some really, really amazing information. Even I was going through your LinkedIn and I was like stuck by. And I remember seeing one post where there's a user group and you conducted a workshop. So does that happen weekly, quarterly? Like how exactly it works?
Yeah, so basically we have an online Polish user group, which is actually in English, but it's still
Okay.
called Polish user group. And we meet on quarterly basis. We are inviting people from around the world to share about the best practices, about different use cases. So
Um,
if you are interested, please feel free to visit.
wow,
And
that's yeah.
if maybe your team, because like I have mentioned, Alteryx is used in bigger organization. If you are listening to this and you are a heavy Excel user and you are thinking that Alteryx might help you, please feel free to ping me on LinkedIn and maybe I can help you implement the Alteryx in your team. I'm
Yeah,
actually
I'm
really good in
definitely
that,
gonna
and
ping
I
your LinkedIn profile as well. So yeah,
thank you.
thank you so much, Emil, for taking time and coming on the podcast and sharing all this lovely informative information about Electrics and the platform and how exactly it can change the world. And there's no more use of Excel and VBA anymore. I know how that sucks. It's very time consuming and very backward. So yeah, I guess this platform looks very, very exciting. I'm definitely gonna join the next user group as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to talk with you. It was a pleasure to share my knowledge with your audience, and good luck on your data journey.
Thank you, Emil.
Well, if you like the podcast, do subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more episodes.